The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters radio show was originally broadcast on December 21st, 2021.
Aloha and welcome to the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters radio show, sponsored by Mokulele Airlines. I'm your host, Pamela Timpop, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, and today we're going to speak with Speaker Saiki on the 2022 legislative session, the House Select Committee on COVID-19, and economic and financial preparedness, along with Hawaii's growth and supporting and managing tourism. We're going to speak with an executive on cutting-edge Wi-Fi technology and this exciting new business and how it could help us with our digital equity initiatives that we're working on. And we're going to speak to a vendor who participated in the 8th Annual Hawaiian Airlines Made in Maui County Festival about her company and products. But first up this morning is Speaker Saiki. Representative Scott K. Saiki currently serves as the representative for House District 26, which includes the areas of Macaulay, Kaheka, Kaka'ako, and downtown. He was born in Honolulu and grew up in Kailua. He earned his BA in Political Science from the University of Hawaii at Manoa and his JD from the University of Hawaii at Manoa's Williams S. Richardson School of Law. During his time at UH, Speaker Saiki won his first election to serve on the Campus Center Board for the University of Hawaii. In 1994, Speaker Saiki was elected to the House of Representatives and later became Speaker of the House. So good morning, Speaker Saiki. Great to have you on the show again.
Hey, good morning, Tom. How's it going? Thanks for inviting me today.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's a rainy but beautiful day in Maui.
It's raining here in Kaka'ako. You know, it hardly rains in Kaka'ako, but there's rain today. But I like it when it rains, as long as it doesn't rain too much.
Exactly. We're thrilled with the rain. We want everything beautiful and green, but lately we've had a little bit much. So hopefully it's a milder season this holiday season.
Yeah, hopefully we're all prepared for the rain this season.
Yes, we were just talking before the show a little bit, folks. We want you to make sure you have your hurricane preparedness kits always. It's a little rain now, but we've all just come through some big rains and some heavy winds, and just make sure that you've got some lanterns and some food that you can cook on the grill if you've got your propane tanks, or make sure you've got little Bunsen burners or other things, sternos even if you need to, but make sure you're well prepared. And, you can always find these amazing little wind-up radios so you can stay in tune even if the power's out and your television's down. So,
yeah, I actually bought a new radio. It's a battery-operated radio.
Perfect.
So it works pretty good.
Yeah, those are really important, and and even some of the solar radios they have now are good too, just in case. But then, of course, you have to be prepared. You have to have them out in the sun. So, the battery operated is better, or the hand crank is good too. Yeah, because at that point, if they haven't been out in the sun, you're in trouble. So, Speaker Saiki, I've had the pleasure of sitting on your House Select Committee on COVID-19, and that was geared up on economic and financial preparedness for our state as we were going through this devastating time. And, I wanted to have you share a little bit, as now we've kind of moved through COVID and we've moved through the Delta variant, but now we've got Omicron. What do you see is the focus? Is that committee going to move forward? And if so, what do you see as the focus for that? Or, if we're going to merge or do something else, what do you see are the key takeaways from what we did by convening during that time, and what are some of the lessons learned that can be carried forward?
Yeah, so, first of all, Pam, I want to thank the Maui Chamber of Commerce for, having you, enabling you to sit on our COVID committee. The Maui Chamber members should know, and the Maui public should know that, Pam was like one of the more active members of our committee, and she always had input and questions and advice and suggestions for us. So I think that helped all of us a lot to have the perspective that Pam brought to the committee.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so what happened was, the committee kind of slowed down its pace as numbers got better over the summer, and I was kind of thinking that it's a good time to just wind it all down. But now that we're facing a new variant, I think we have to reassess. We have to make a reassessment of that. But I think looking back at what our COVID committee accomplished over the past year and a half gives us, it gives us a good blueprint for what we need to do going forward and how we need to be prepared. I think what the committee was successful at doing was in identifying some of the key fundamental areas that we needed to be prepared for. The committee started off by developing the public health matrix,
right? That
basically told the state and the counties, when it was appropriate to shut down or to not shut down. That was based on if people recall, it was based on the red, yellow, or red, orange, yellow, green matrix. The COVID committee was also influential in helping to assist with the Safe Travels program. On Oahu, the COVID committee helped stand up the mass vaccination centers that led to, over 250,000 people being double vaccinated. And that allowed the providers to then focus on Neighbor Island and rural community vaccination programs. So I think that the committee put in place, almost like infrastructure that we can use going forward, with Omicron and in any other kind of emergency situation that we face going in the future. So I think there are a lot of lessons that we learned through the COVID committee, and but I think it's going to be beneficial for us going forward. And I'm already thinking that there's things that we have to start raising with this Omicron surge.
Yes.
For example, whether or not there should be another attempt at mass booster programs, how to continue the Safe Travels program. I mean, there's so many issues that we have to reconsider, but we can draw upon what we learned through the COVID committee to help make those decisions.
And I really want to thank you for your tremendous leadership, because you brought together a group of people from the health side, from the economic side, and I had always shared, that the here locally and at the meetings at times, that the World Health Organization and the International Monetary Fund had come together very early on at the beginning of COVID and said, you have to deal with these things in tandem. And that was the group that you convene. So we had the best and brightest minds from across the state. We had a statewide presence and representation from groups. We had industry well represented. We had healthcare well represented, and looking for ways to, to sustain both, first addressing the healthcare crisis, but also working on how we could sustain our economy and when we could be open and operate safely, recognizing the delicate balance and hospital capacity and all the issues. There's so many layers, and it's easy for people to criticize some of the decisions, but I want to say that your leadership on that committee, was really geared at how do we hear all the sides and try and come up with the best possible solutions. And you did an awesome job.
Yeah, and I think one of the goals for me was to have to emphasize that government could not do it alone.
Right.
The government needed help, and that's where the COVID committee stepped in. And I really give a lot of kudos to the committee members and you, Pam, as well, because serving, and I think the members all realize this, that serving on a committee like that put the members kind of at risk too, right? Because you had to take positions that, as you mentioned, may not have always been popular, but the decisions that the committee made, I think, were reasoned decisions, and the committee was willing to make those decisions. And then once they made those decisions, never flinched. Yeah. And I think that just helped a lot because it provided so much guidance and leadership in the state at a time when we just needed that. We needed decisions to we needed a path going forward. So I really give a lot of credit to the committee members.
Well, we're happy to serve. I shouldn't speak for the entire group, but I can tell you from the interactions, people were very happy to serve. They heard the call, and we appreciated your leadership and Peter Ho, and it was really just a great group, and Dr. Carl Bonham, who frequently gave us those important economic updates as well. So thank you so much for doing that, and of course, if we continue on, we'll still be here, so we'll be happy to serve.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Another key thing is, things change this legislative session. We've been advocating for as long as I've been at the Chamber to see if Neighbor Island folks could testify remotely. And a lot of people used to say, Pam, that's a pipe dream. It would be so difficult to have inputs from all across the state. It would crash the legislative session. There wouldn't be enough time. And, of course, with COVID, that's what we needed to do. And things were working well. So I was wondering how you feel this year's legislative session is going to work. And what do you see as some of the key issues that are going to come up this year?
Okay, so as far as the planning for the session, so up until about a week ago, I had been reminding our House members throughout the summer that we would reopen the Capitol for the session that starts in January. And, at that time, the numbers were, pretty good, right? The COVID numbers were pretty good. So I had told them that we would reopen the building. We would have a hybrid system in place for public hearings, which meant that, people could choose to either participate, testify in person, or remotely. So, our remote hearing system, I think, it's going to remain in place whether or not there's COVID spikes. I think it was a good system.
Yes.
And it did enable a lot of different kinds of people to participate at the hearing level. So that will continue. As far as whether the building will reopen or not is going to depend upon the COVID numbers. We're kind of relying upon the city and county COVID orders, the public health protocol orders. We're following that to see what the protocol should be for the Capitol building. As of now, the city order, it's kind of unlimited.
Right.
I'm not sure if Mayor Blangiardi is going to revise his order, but as of now, things are still open. So it's going to be a day by day, it'll be a day by day kind of situation where we'll see. Up until the day before opening day, we'll probably have a better idea.
Are opening day ceremonies planned, or is everything kind of on hold as you watch this unfold?
Yeah, everything is just on hold. I was hoping that we could have a traditional kind of opening this year, but everything just changed last week. So it's just day by day, and I really want the building to be open. I think this is better for our system. I think it helps us, enables us to produce better legislation. So I really want the building to be open. I want to be as open as possible next year.
Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate that even if it's going to be open especially for Neighbor Island folks and elderly and others who might not be able to come down, that a hybrid system is also being planned. That's a tremendous help.
Yeah, and then as far as the issues for next session, I think there's going to be several major buckets that we're going to have to deal with. One is pandemic-related issues. Unfortunately, we have to revisit again some of the pandemic rules and appropriations. Again, we'll have to see what the numbers look like in January. I think that another bucket will be on the state budget. We're seeing I don't know if people saw the governor's press conference yesterday, but he announced that state tax revenue will be up this year. So there'll be, some funds available to the legislature this year. I think the other bucket will be on, and this is mostly an Oahu issue, but on the Red Hill.
Yes,
and the
watching
water quality issues. Yeah, so that's going to take up. I'm sure that's going to suck up a lot of time. But that's it's going to be important that the legislature react responsibly to the Red Hill situation.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, from a lot of us on the neighbor islands, some people, I was talking to some people, and they said, well, if you lived here a real long time or you're a historian, you know about Red Hill. And I said, well, we all now know about Red Hill. and I said, the Globe now knows about Red Hill, and that all that fuel is there. But, we're really pleased with the Hawai'i response, the congressional response and the legislative response. And I know this is going to come up more. But, this is a great example of how in an emergency not to handle communications, because we really feel, a lot of people that I've talked to feel this could have and should have been handled better and differently. But it's so important to see, this is one of those sort of sweeping movements where it shows who you are as a state and how we handle things, and making sure that this is taken care of is paramount.
Yeah, and I think the key is in the business. The business people know this, that when there's an emergency, the key thing is being able to pivot, right?
Right.
Pivot. And I think that's something that government is having to learn. But I think that you're right. I think with the Red Hill response, there's been some good, a good pivot at the congressional level and at the state level. So I hope that continues.
Yeah, we're watching. I mean, everybody across the state is watching, and we certainly feel for all of those affected families, and I know you do as well. And our legislators are working hard to come up with some resolve. And yet, we understand the military has certain needs as well. So we're hopeful that some of their methods that they're proposing will work. And we'll stay tuned, but really appreciate that it'll be taken up this session. One of the other things that we really learned from COVID is how dependent we are, Maui County being the most dependent county in the state, on the visitor industry. And, of course, we all are looking at ways to better manage and look at how we pivot our marketing and engage people in really wanting to care for our environment, our culture, understanding our community. And that's all in the works, and we're excited about those efforts. But where do you see our economic growth coming from?
Yeah, so I think, yes, you're right. Number one, we need to manage, we do need to manage tourism better, because there's so many ancillary benefits from tourism that we realized during the pandemic. There's so many small businesses that, suffered as a result of the slowdown.
Yeah.
So we need to we really need to be better manage tourism. That was a wake-up call for us, and I think that the state and county governments and the Hawaii Tourism Authority and other organizations are kind of refocused now on that. So I'm hoping that trend will continue. I think outside of tourism, I think there's going to be opportunities coming forward for people to be entrepreneurial. I think whether it's on the private side or even on the nonprofit side, because what you're going to see now is an influx of funds, right, at the federal infrastructure funds. There might be state funds available in different kinds of areas, so such as environmental type programs, broadband infrastructure type programs. As I said earlier, with COVID, government can't do everything by itself, and we need help from the private sector and the nonprofit sector. And I think there might be opportunities for people to take advantage of not just funds, but the kinds of needs that we're now seeing that need to be addressed.
Right.
And hopefully these kinds of companies or organizations, and whether they may be startups, can help us meet some of the goals that we'll be setting at the state level. But I think it's going to be entrepreneurial type initiatives. You're not going to see. I think everybody knows we're not going to see large industry type initiatives. It's going to have to be at smaller levels.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we have loved having you on the show again this morning, and we would love to have you back again soon. And I hope that you get to stay warm and dry and have a wonderful and happy holidays.
Oh, thanks. You too, Tom.
Thank you so much, Speaker Saiki. Great to have you on, and we'll ask you to come back again shortly in the new year.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
You too.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Aloha. This show is sponsored by Mokulele Airlines. Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal. Good morning, and we're back. If you're just tuning in, this is Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. I wanted to welcome a gentleman who is the business executive of Sun Global. His name is Ed Sun, and we got to meet on the statewide broadband hui. Ed has over 35 years of R&D, executive management, and startup experience. He has launched international companies, new ventures, and served on boards and in executive management. So I wanted to welcome and say aloha to Ed Sun.
Aloha, Pam. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
It's a nice day on Oahu. What can I say? It's a beautiful state, beautiful day, and thank you so much for inviting me today. I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit with you on some exciting things happening in Hawaii.
Well, we are so excited to talk to you today, and I know we're very blessed to live in such a gorgeous place. So it's always a wonderful day in Hawaii, even when things are going wrong. But Ed, you are really no stranger to technological advancement. And can you try and sum up? I'm going to ask you to sort of do it briefly because you have such an extensive experience. But can you sum up some of your biggest accomplishments over the last several years?
Well, they always say it's best to have someone else brag for you, but I'll give you some of the highlights of a history. So, I'm born and raised in Hawaii, on Oahu, and fortunate early on to be part of several big initiatives in Hawaii, AlohaNet, as well as the start of a company called Verifone. And one of the things that I think my contribution to technology has been the ability to tie technology to actual working models for business, commerce, as well as in the field of communications. So it's actually applications of technology. And my background is electrical engineering, but I graduated from being what I call the propeller head society into the business society.
Well, I don't think I've ever heard anybody self-profess that they were a propeller head. But and I haven't heard that term in a really long time, but that's hysterical. And you definitely have been doing a lot of things in bridging the technology gap into the business realm. Tell us about your latest venture and what you're calling it, and a little bit about what you're doing.
Okay. Well, the latest venture is called Sun Global Broadband. And really, it was in a series of technologies that we ended up coming up with this latest company. And I say latest company, it actually launched in 2014. Sun Global Broadband developed a technology in Hawaii, working with partners such as those affiliates from my previous life at HP Labs, as well as with Verifone, and some of my buddies in the Bay Area, as well as technology people in Hawaii, like sponsored by HTBC. So we developed a new technology to help with the tourist trade as well as to help with commerce between Hawaii and the world. The new technology, some call it super long range 1 mile Wi-Fi. Others call it I can't believe it's not Wi-Fi. It's like I can't believe it's not butter.
Yep.
But it's really a new technology we developed that made Wi-Fi, which is your same thing like your home Wi-Fi, but we extended it such that you can connect, your devices can connect to a Wi-Fi network over a mile away. And with city driving, you can stay connected while you're in your car, just like you would for a mobile network or cellular network.
Wow.
So this technology really was the brainchild of a collaboration of the Japan carriers working with a group in Hawaii, which included myself, others actually way back as far as the Governor Aoyoshi administration. People like Dr. Glenn Miyataki, as well as Dr. Fujio Matsuda. So we created a company here that developed the technology. So you can actually have Wi-Fi now that looks like, sort of 5G cellular. And it's a complement to the industry. It's not a competitor. It's a complement to the industry. So we now have a technology that can span the world from Hawaii, create a hub in Hawaii for communications to aid in commerce, grow businesses, and support technology developments and industry that Hawaii businesses want to launch. So it's really the right place, right time, right product, right people.
Wow, that's a great way to put it. I love that. Right place, right time, right product, right people. And it does so much for this Wi-Fi bubble that you're talking about. It does so much for the business community and connecting so many different things. Go back a little bit and tell us about that.
I'd like to tell you a little bit about that. So when we developed this technology, the technology was brought to us from the brain trust at NASA.
Wow.
And one of my partners, John Warda, who was the founder and owner of GST Communications and Pacific LightNet, which was a carrier in Hawaii. We did a pilot in Canada at with a company called Navigata, BC Rail and Telegraph. And we actually showed that the technology could work. We readapted a technology or antenna system that can hear a very small signal from very far away. And this allowed us to develop a Wi-Fi network that could hear. We actually tested it. We could actually connect with a Wi-Fi device, with a mobile phone, at the Hilton Lagoons, and we connected it with an antenna on the Kaimana Beach Hotel, 1.7 miles away. So the idea here is now, if we can connect that far away and we can have mobility say up to 40, 50 miles an hour, all of a sudden we can have one bubble that connects your smart home, your smart car, your smart grid, smart shopping. I know all the ladies love shopping, right?
We do.
I do. Especially Christmas time, smart shopping. And actually smart city and smart state, all tied together, okay, into one, we call it one bubble, okay? And it's the nice thing about it, it's seamless. So you can leave your home, go outdoors or go commute to work, and at your work office, and all be in the same, never have a continuous session wherever you go.
As somebody who is frequently told that my signal keeps dropping while I'm moving from spot to spot, talking, hands-free in my car, and the communication's dropping, that sounds really amazing. And how do you, One of the things we've been told on Maui is between our two mountain ranges from Haleakala to West Maui, there can be some challenges there. So how does that work? How do the connections work?
Well, the interesting thing about wireless communications today is that we live in what I would call a mobile society. And we also live in a connected society. So, unfortunately, when I'm driving in my car, I'm still conducting business. In fact,
Right.
You and I had a conference call the other day while I was driving, of course, hands-free, in a safe manner. But
We have to say that, folks.
The ability for our network, we actually designed and built a special gateway that allows us to integrate different types of high-speed data connections together. It could be fiber, it could be coax from a cable company, it could be a cellular backhaul. All of these things can be integrated into our system, and we can actually traverse different types of networks while you're mobile, and your session never drops. Okay, so that was one of the first things we developed along with this macro long-range 1 mile antenna. So these two things combined actually allows you to tie together different networks, different locations, different mountaintops, if you want to call it that, okay? And it allows you to make it look like it's one network.
I mean, amazing.
Years back, we tried to integrate things together by building a fiber net neutral network in Hawaii. But we decided that doing it this way with the what I'll call last mile connection to the subscriber, we actually integrate everyone's diverse networks to make it all look like it's one.
I think this is fascinating technology. So how is it getting deployed, and are people embracing it? Is the business community embracing the technology? Because when you started talking to me about it, it was new to me, so I'm excited to learn more. And are you facing any challenges in getting this technology out?
Well, I think whenever you launch new technology, people work from certain paradigms, or they tend to reference it back to something they know. So all of a sudden, when we launched Wi-Fi, or super long-range Wi-Fi, people originally thought, well, Wi-Fi is very limited because it was a kind of a home device used in your house. They don't think of Wi-Fi being a carrier-grade outdoor system that can link indoor to outdoor and be, used for commerce. So that's one of the things that we're now in the process of educating people. Of course, what helps is we actually spent $2.5 million building out a pilot system in Waikiki, which is probably one of the most difficult areas to launch a Wi-Fi network, just because of all of the radio frequency noise and EMR, electromagnetic radiation from all the other broadcast stations. So what happened is we launched that in Waikiki. We now have major carriers that we signed with, including British Telecom, Orange France, NTT from Japan, KDDI from Japan, working with SoftBank, working with even showing it to other cellular companies who want to use our network for data offload, like Verizon. So we actually now have a base of endorsers and people who are saying, maybe there is something here because they've never seen a network like ours work before. Mm-hmm. So, it's visible in Waikiki, and we would love to build one on Maui.
Oh, we would love to have you build one on Maui. Let me just say, my hand is up. I'm waving it, well into the air to help you do that. We're here to serve and would love to see that here. So we'll keep talking about that because, it's always great to pilot, especially when you're trying to launch something in a big way, but to have different sites to pilot. And Maui's known for being unique and entrepreneurial, and so, we're wanting to be on the leading edge of technology that helps us. So, we want clean industry, and we want industry that drives higher paying jobs as well. So we're here. So think of us, and keep us top of mind.
Yes. And I think we talked about a little bit about maybe, doing a connected bubble between Kaanapali and Wailuku and some of the shopping areas and the residents and schools. So there's all kinds of different bubbles that can be created. The one thing that I noticed way back, we had a planning committee for high tech for Hawaii, and this was way back in the days of Governor Ariyoshi. The idea was to create sustainable technology that could be leveraged to help the Hawaii businesses, but also connect us to the world.
Right.
We thought we did that with something like Verifone, which is now a $5.5 billion company we started out of Hawaii. But actually, what happens when you have just manufacturing, Hawaii is not the ideal place for manufacturing, so it tended to go offshore. Something like this, where we're licensing technology for the internet, that can actually make Hawaii an economic hub, and also connect all the islands together for one single IP commerce bubble, sort of a blockchain. And I think that's one of the biggest contributions that Sun Global Broadband can contribute to Hawaii business, Hawaii commerce, and also to making Hawaii an economic hub.
Right music to our ears and right up our alley. So excited to see this grow. One of the things that's kind of interesting is with these kinds of new technologies, as everybody wonders, especially with something so unique and disruptive in the field, have you patented this technology, and why or why not?
Well, we've actually had conversations with people who on patents. And one of the interesting things is we're actually offering it as almost like a trade secret. In this world of patents, I think Elon Musk said it the best. He said, patents an invitation for a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And as a small startup company in Hawaii, I should say small, but as a startup company in Hawaii, patent is only as good as our ability to protect it.
Right.
So in this world of geopolitics and all of the different laws in different countries, at this point, sharing our technology in a patent form throughout the world is probably not the best solution. The best solution is we're actually offering this to countries. We're in discussions with Australia, with the Philippines, with India, with the UK. Our next island, which is Las Vegas, we're in discussion with all of those parties. We're offering this network and capability as a network as a service. So that way we can protect our technology, we can license it, and the money will stay in Hawaii. Okay, so it's not technology we develop here and then all of a sudden we take offshore. And I think the third part is that we can involve all the businesses and government to create a digital society here in the islands.
I think that's something that we're all working towards, and right now there's, as you know, it's serving on the broadband Hui. Everybody's looking for better communications. We're, at the Maui Chamber of Commerce, I've shared with you, we just came off of our 8th annual Hawaiian Airlines Made in Maui County Festival, and we're even retailers as well as our small manufacturers. We're trying to get into that global marketplace, and for us to sell more and expand and spread our wings, that's going to come down to communications and strong communications that work, and and the seamless part of this is so important. We want the technology to be seamless. We want it to work. We want to make sure that our calls aren't dropped, our connections aren't dropped, that the sale didn't go through. And so we're
all of that's really important because part of when we started, we were actually commissioned by NTT, KDDI, and SoftBank to build this technology because they love Hawaii and they had their people coming to Hawaii to spend their vacation.
Yeah.
And one of the unique things that came out of that was NTT Broadband, which owns all the technology for the Tokyo Olympics. They developed about $500 million worth of applications for smart city.
Uh-huh.
And we're their extension to the U.S. So Sun Global Broadband is the extension for Japan Wi-Fi and the Tokyo Olympics applications. So the good thing here is that we have in our toolkit the ability to bring all these different applications to Hawaii to help businesses, to help commerce, help with advertising, help with public safety and detection, tracking, and tracing of different types of pandemics or COVID. So all of that's all wrapped into one relationship. And we can't wait to get this started somewhere in Hawaii. It might be we started Maui, sometimes Oahu is a little harder to navigate. So maybe we started Maui with you, Pamela, and that's our hope.
Well, it's our hope too, because it really is a fascinating technology, and we're going to bring you back because there's so much more to talk about on this. But before we go, I know you have some sites where people can learn more about this, and let's get them started. Can you share a couple of places where they can learn more about this technology?
Yeah, I think the easiest is to go to we have a website. It's www.sunglobalbroadband.com. Okay, and it talks about some of our applications with NTT for the Olympics, our technology, and it also talks about what's unique about what we're offering. And it talks a little bit about our partners and shows a little bit about our network. We're thankful to have partners, across the state. Companies like ABC Stores. We're working with Jalpac and ANA and other international companies. So we're the good thing is that we're born. Okay, it was launched in Hawaii. The idea came from Hawaii. It's going to stay in Hawaii, but we're working to bring international monies into our marketplace.
Well, Ed, we are so thrilled to be talking with you, looking forward to working with you. Thank you for coming on this morning and sharing about this amazing technology. We want to encourage everybody to go to the website, learn more, but we'll be bringing Ed back because, again, we're hoping to work with him on a long-term basis in a pilot project here, but also because it's really important to understand the different technologies and how they can work for you and for your business. So, Ed, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We'll get you scheduled again soon, and if I don't talk to you before then, have a Merry Christmas and wonderful holiday season.
Thank you so much, Pam, and I want to thank you as well for the invitation. I think your show is fantastic. It's wonderful. It's something that will help get the message out for new technologies being developed in Hawaii. So thank you again, and thank you for the Maui Chamber.
Oh, thank you so much. It's our pleasure, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, thank you, Pam.
You bet. Aloha. Take care. If you're just tuning in, this is Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And now we're going to talk to Katy Tsark, who is the owner of Kahele, Maui. Katy was born and raised on Oahu, but has been on Maui now for 15 years. And Kahele is Katy's middle name, which means to adorn a person for a journey. Katy has been in business for several years now, and when the pandemic hit, she put all of her effort into her business, Kahele Maui. Good morning, Katy. Aloha.
Good morning, Pamela. Thank you for having me.
Oh, so great to have you on this show this morning. So you have a very unique business. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to start this business.
Well, I've been sewing as a hobby and just as just something that I love to do for forever. I was in fashion design in high school and I studied it in college. And then actually the very first bag I ever made for my company was inspired by a bag. I'm a very practical person. And I had a customer, I was a waitress at Duke's in Waikiki, and I had a customer that had the cutest bag with a bamboo handle. And she said that she had gotten it at a shop around the corner. So I went after work to go look at it, and it was like $250. And I was like, I could do that. So I started making them just seasonally and Christmas presents, and then people started asking to buy them. And that's how it began. And, I've been in a little brick and mortar, almost a storage, but workshop but I've made it into a really cute boutique. And little did I know I've been here for 7 years now.
Wow, awesome.
And then I feel like I just laid the railroad tracks my whole time I've been here. And when the pandemic hit, I was like, I wasn't working. I was a bartender at the Four Seasons, and I was off work, and I looked at this place, and I'm like, okay, now it's go time.
Yeah, well, I know things change, and it really it takes you in a different direction, and it makes you really focus on what it is you want to do or need to do at that moment. So,
Absolutely.
well, just real quick, I'm going to circle back to this at the end, but you mentioned the boutique, so tell us where that is.
I am in North Kahele, so I'm in kind of the industrial area of North Kahele, up Ohukai.
Okay, awesome. And you have, a unique product line. I know you sell handbags. I used to sell purses too, and totes and things. And what I always say about that is, ladies, a purse always fits. Doesn't matter what size. If you go up and down in weight, a purse always fits.
I have thought that thousands of times. As I try, as I grow my product line, I'm like, bags and accessories always fit everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. So tell us a little bit about your product line.
I love fabrics. I love beautiful fabrics, and Hawaii is such an interesting story. And, there's so many different, you go to a fabric store and you're kind of overwhelmed by all the prints and everything, and sometimes it's just too much. But if you really look deep, there's some, amazing, interesting, and only in Hawaii fabrics. And, I just love them. So, I just do this to support my habit of buying fabrics, and now I do it for a living, so it's great. And then our bags are, over the years, I've brought on some girls, and so there's about 6 of us now. And
Nice.
It takes a while to get everyone trained to sew the same product in the same way.
Yes.
And now I feel like we're in a good place, and so we've been able to produce more than we have before, and it's really cool because we all love to do it.
And given the uniqueness of the fabrics that you're bringing in, so your products are really unique to each person as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're all beautifully made. It's nice to know, and I appreciate hearing, because that's sometimes we don't hear that, and I'm glad that you said it. I didn't even think to ask, but I'm glad that you mentioned that there's 6 of you now, because one of the things we're trying to do with the annual Made in Maui County Festival is pair businesses with wholesale buyers and retailers, but also, see them grow with increased sales in the hopes that they'll hire people. So it's nice to know you've got a great team and you're working to make sure that everybody's well-trained and gets the methodology so that they can deliver quality products.
That's a whole different set of, that's a whole other job. Yeah, sometimes
Exactly.
I think, oh my gosh, my job now is buying fabric and cutting it and just teaching. And I studied fashion tech at MCC with Cheryl Maeda, who's amazing, and
Yes.
she told me a long time ago. She said, "Well, if you're going to do what you want to do, you're going to be a teacher. You're going to have to teach people." And that's now that's coming true, and I'm like, oh, okay.
That sage advice is now here today. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just draw all your strengths too, because you're working with a lot of different personalities, and everybody turns out to be so cool. But there's always, it's hard. You've got to get a formula to your training and
Right.
figuring out what people are good at, and yeah.
No, owning a business is a lot of work on a lot of different levels, and sometimes people don't realize
Absolutely.
all the hats that a small business owner wears.
It's so rewarding, though.
It is, and our entrepreneurs are very passionate, and that's what we love, because it comes out in the products. Now, you also have, oh, you're welcome. I'm always excited to hear about your business and others. It's a great journey, and so many of us are dealing with so many of the similar things, but of course in a unique way, because it's unique to our business as well. But you have a great surfboard product. Tell us a little bit about that, and what inspired that.
Wraps. Yeah, Hele board wraps. They're a way to carry your surfboard or paddleboard, and it's also a towel. So it's just a sling. It's super simple, basic design, but it's so useful. And when I do use it again, sometimes I'm like, I need to get paddling again. And when I use it, I'm like, oh my gosh, why doesn't everybody have one of these?
I saw it and went, wow, don't have to carry the board on your head.
Totally.
It's really cute.
Thank you.
But beyond it being really cute, it's also super functional. And how did you go from bags to the surfboard holder?
Well, actually, if you've ever stood in that traffic light going from the parking lot across the street at Laniopoko, I was there at that light waiting for the crosswalk with like all my gear and my little kids and my boards. And my board strap wasn't very good for carrying. It was an older design. And I was looking at the towel and then the purse on my shoulder, and I was like, okay, wait a second. I'm gonna try this. And so, so I went home that night and I cut up the towel and I got like this really long, made this huge long strap, like exactly like my first strap. And I put it around and I worked with it a little bit, trimming it down and getting the right fit. And it was so cute. And I used it the next day. And my friends were like, that's so cool. You got to take that off right now. Everybody's going to want to, make those too. Everybody was scared that I needed a patent. I heard you talking about patents.
We did earlier, yes. Yeah.
And, and I talked to a patent attorney about it and stuff, and they were like, it's 20% design, it's not worth it. So they're like, just do it and do your best with it.
And get it out.
And yeah, we still have a great design for it. There are others out there I've noticed over the years, but our whole business isn't designed around that, that product. So we're okay with it.
Awesome. Well, let's go real quick because we're running out of time. Tell everybody where they can find you.
I'm here at my Kihei location in North Kihei, 300 Ohukai, Tuesday through Friday, 11 to 5, and it's my sew room and my showroom, so you can shop and you can see where everything's made. It's a really cute shop.
And do you have a website?
Every Saturday. I'm sorry.
No, do you have a website, and are you on social media?
Yes, Kahele Maui on Instagram, Kahele Maui Handbags on Facebook, and www.kahelemaui.com on our website.
Awesome. Well, we're going to ask everybody to find you there. Thank you so much, Katy, for joining us for Business Matters. I hope everybody got to hear today's great session. We had a lot of fun. I'm Pamela Tumpa, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, wishing you all blessings and best wishes for a joyous holiday season and another beautiful Maui day.